Records are falling, comebacks are brewing, and the Elite Motorsports Million has officially changed the game. Let's run through the biggest headlines in and around the sport, from Brittany Force's 341-mile-per-hour pass to the return of Tommy DeApril. Let's do this thing, guys. Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered, this is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport, drag racing. Prove me wrong, I'll wait. Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine checking in. It is Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Hope you're doing well out there. We've got a hell of a show for you guys today. In just a few short minutes, I'm going to be joined by Richard Freeman of Elite Motorsports, the largest professional motorsports team in drag racing, as well as the owner of Bradenton Motorsports Park, the one and only Vic Alvarez. But of course, before that, I've got to talk about my partners in crime, my cohorts here on the Wes Buck Show. Mike Carpenter, JT, what's up, boys?
Aloha.
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Oh, yeah, you're back. You're back from Hawaii. What's
Actually,
this, vacation 6? We're 7 months into the year.
Yeah.
This is probably what? Vacation 6, I'd say.
I think it's my first one.
Okay,
hey, we got
fair.
the number one. Richard wants to talk to you about that. Richard will let you know about those vacations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you'll hear about it. I promise.
You look,
He's probably
Yeah.
a winery somewhere, you know.
it looks like you got older since, Hawaii is supposed to be like refreshing and
I put
relaxing.
Yeah.
It
It looks like you
did
put
a number
something
on
else in your nose, just being honest. But, I'm not
I
100%.
would spontaneously combust.
Yeah,
If I ever did that, yeah.
That'd be bad. That'd be real bad. Well, hey guys, we obviously got a lot of ground to cover here today. We had a lot of news over the weekend. Obviously, the NHRA's on the Western Swing, Seattle and Sonoma, hell of a drag race up in Seattle. We had a bunch of exciting storylines, perhaps none so more so than Brittany Force's resetting the record, 341.85 miles per hour. I want to talk about that a little later in the show and kind of dive into both sides of the coin on this whole 340 mile per hour situation. It's something I think we're rapidly becoming desensitized to, it would seem. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a little later in the show. Well, let's kind of skip over some of our updates since we've got both of our guests here in the green room, and we'll touch on these headlines throughout the sport in a couple of minutes. Let's give it up for the one and only Richard Freeman and Vic Alvarez.
What's up, boys?
What's up, guys?
What's up?
I gotta ask a question, Wes.
Okay.
How can I get on JT's program? How do you go on?
See?
How do you go? I can't go to Hawaii. I can't even get there. Like,
You got your own plane, man.
Hey,
What
do
the
you
hell
have
are
a
talking
sister
about?
I could marry? No,
I've
I'm just
never
joking.
seen nothing like it.
You and me both, brother. If it ain't a vacation, it's a golf tournament, or he's volunteering somewhere. It's but I tell you what, he's a pretty reliable son of a bitch.
No,
Tell you
he's
what, if I told-
reliable. There's no doubt about that.
He's living the dream. He's living the dream, though, for sure.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
He is. He absolutely is. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I think we obviously a couple of weeks ago announced the 2025-26 dates for the Drag Illustrated Winter Series presented by J&A Service. We're really excited to kind of make our annual pilgrimage back down to Vic's place, the legendary Bradenton Motorsports Park, for what I think will be 3 of the biggest drag races in the history of the known universe. But I feel like we broke the internet on Friday, boys. I'm just curious. Let's do like immediate reactions to the Elite Motorsports Million. This is something that I personally have been working on for about a year and a half. It's been a way bigger challenge than I really anticipated it being. But we finally got it across the finish line, in large part to our buddy and partner here, Richard Freeman and the gang at Elite Motorsports. And I'm just curious, Richard, what we'll start with you. What was your initial reaction when I started ringing your phone talking about this $1 million deal?
Well, I thought it was absolutely something we had to do, right? I mean, I can remember those days of going to Denver, right, with you and struggling to get the cars and getting people to participate or do what they said they were going to do. And when you brought that up to me, and then our partners are kind of common partners with USI and trying to pull all this stuff together, I thought it's a no-brainer in my opinion, and great for that time of the year, something to talk about, something for everybody to go do. You know what I said. I love it. Hell, me and Mike Carpenter's involved in it, but Justin Elks, I built a brand new car just for those 3 races.
And Vic, do you agree? Like, that's something that we're hearing a lot of right now. Like, if I had $1 for every phone call that I've had, with somebody building a car or putting something together specifically for a trip to Bradenton this winter, I'd have a pocket full of ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've seen that. We've got people from all different classes and, no prep guys. We got Freeman over here building pro mods. I got a pro mod. I think everybody wants a part of this. And, I mean, there's that time of year, there's nothing else going on. It's the place to be. And the fact that you can come and potentially win $1 million just puts it over the top.
And, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the reality of this, 15 rounds of racing in a row against the baddest sons of bitches on the planet Earth, that's a tall order. But I tell you what, I do believe it's possible. We saw Ken Cartuccio come damn close in 2024 and 5. So I really think that when this happens, inevitably, it will be an iconic moment for the sport of drag racing, because this is a conversation I've had with you guys. It's not so much about just promoting this singular happening. It's about pushing the ball forward for the sport of drag racing, right? Like, John F. Kennedy said, or he's credited for it by and large, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And I've seen all the commentary on social media like, oh, they should have done this for a bracket race, or they should have done this for a sportsman deal, or they should have spread it around. But the fact of the matter is, we've got Pro Modified as the tip of the spear right now. It's undoubtedly the hottest class in drag racing, and it is universally successful. I've called it the universal language of our sport because it's successfully contested all around the globe. And I believe, like, deep in my soul, that this is what the sport needs right now. The sport needs we've got to start playing bigger. Does that make sense, Richard? I mean, you spend many a day building working with sponsors, trying to bring new companies to the sport of drag racing. And in my 20 years of doing this, I'll be honest, I've had plenty of sponsor pitches and deals fall on deaf ears because the numbers just weren't big enough. It didn't get anybody excited. I mean, we've got guys strapping into these, and gals strapping into these cars, risking their lives. I feel like they need to have an opportunity to run for life-changing money.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think there's first of all, I'm like you. I love our sport, right? I don't care whether it's NHRA, PDRA, your deal, right? Not any of that stuff. I like it. I like it all. I like Top Fuel. I like Pro Stock. I like Pro Mod. What I will tell you about Pro Mod, and this is for a whole nother show, is the thing that makes Pro Mod great is people can attain it. Look at Vic right there. Vic, what happened to you last year? You built a car, right? You bought an engine, you got a tuner, and he goes out there and qualifies for your races. And so it's attainable. Whereas what I do every day, it's quite tough to obtain. And nobody today wants to do that, right? They want results. They want to be able to build it, buy it, go race. And so that's the reason I'm interested in what we're doing with these races. And I think it's only going to go forward from here, whether it's 3 or 6 or whatever. When we get done, it'll be stupid for all of us.
There's no doubt. And I think, Vic, I think you'll agree that there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, Richard, I got to give you credit and the KB Titan guys credit for trying to make Pro Stock more accessible. But there's still no doubt that that's a big bite. I mean, you're talking engine shops, lease deals, hiring a couple $100,000 a year crew chiefs. I mean, it's a big bite, not to mention go run 20 races. That's 100%. That's a big bite.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's tiresome. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's, especially when you have years like I'm having right now with people's health issues and not making excuses, but I've got a lot of people that are out fighting for their life, and at the same time we're trying to race. and it is probably one of the most difficult things that I've had thrown on my shoulders to do. And it's what you're doing with those 3 races is, to me, is just it's game changing, because it's out of the way of everyone else, right? Nobody's impeding on someone else. We're not doing it. It's good for the sport of drag racing.
You agree? I mean, Vic, how much have we heard about that it's so nice that this doesn't compete with anybody else. It doesn't make a racer choose who they're going to have to support any of those weekends in December, January, February. And that was something that was near and dear to my heart when we first started kicking this whole idea around, is that I never wanted, having spent my entire life in this sport and seeing my dad labor over which track owner he was going to piss off this weekend because of where we were going to go race. Like, we grew up in the Midwest. There'd be 3 points races one weekend, and he'd have to choose who he was going to make mad. And I hated it for him. So it was mission critical to me to make sure that when we did this, it was complementary to every other great thing that's happening in the sport of drag racing.
Well, I think part of the magic of the Winter Series is the time of year, of course, but the fact that we get to see Antron Brown and Erica Enders race against Manny Bajinga and Stevie Fast and Melanie Salemi, and just, like you said, we got NHRA guys, not even just Pro Mod, but NHRA guys and girls. We got PDRA folks, outlaw folks, people that put slicks on their cars that normally run radial races. So that's what the magic of this race is, that you get to see matchups and competition that you would normally not see, and it's just the best of the best in a door car.
I mean, think about back at I believe it was at the World Series when Lyle Barnett lined up against Antron Brown. And I thought to myself, as a drag racing fan, what more can you ask for than that? Or see,
where else are you going to see that
line up with Antron Brown or Lyle Barnett or Kurt Stedding or Tommy Franklin? Like, this is what we need. I've always said that, like, I love the diversity. I think it's one of our sport's biggest strengths. But like so many other things, it's also a giant curse, because the attention. I mean, I feel for the NHRA every weekend when I think they've got to tell the story of Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock Bike, and then they're going to take a beating if they don't pay any attention to their sportsman racers and Comp Eliminator, Stock, Super Stock, etc. It's so much to cover, but what happens at the Winter Series is all the attention is focused on one talent pool. All the sharks are swimming together, and I really think that's the magic of this, and it's not something that's achievable in anything else. When you think about, when you guys, this is something I wrote an editorial this morning, and I was doing some research, and I feel like it's important that $1 million prize, whether it's immediately won, if you go back to the Winston Million in NASCAR, it catapulted NASCAR racing into the mainstream sports landscape. They were lucky enough to have Bill Elliott, $1 million Bill, win it the very first year it was contested. It was a magical moment. And if we could have a moment like that happen down in Bradenton, I can't really put into words the effect I think it would have on drag racing, because, I mean, if you look around, they're having cornhole tournaments that pay $100,000 to win.
Yeah.
They're playing. I found this morning researching that there's a rock, paper, scissors tournament in New Jersey that pays $10,000 to win. You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to do that.
Me and you both.
But this is what drag racing needs. Like, we need to be put on that level. We need to show our drivers and teams that they have a chance to compete for that kind of money, and that's what's going to continue to grow this. Some people were like, oh, like, we shouldn't be throwing this much money at the sport. It's not good for it. Well, that's a load of crap, because we've been throwing money at Pro Mod, and it's been growing, and people have been buying new cars, building new cars. People that you would never expect have jumped in and gotten into Pro Mod. So it's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be fantastic.
Hey, Wes, are you about done with me? I want to say hi to some of these guys. I'm sorry, but I got lunch with Jason Johnson and them guys.
Jason Johnson, give him a shout out from us, brother.
I'm going to do it right now if y'all don't mind. And y'all say hi to all these people. Y'all be ready. You're on the Wes Buck Show. Jason Johnson, who does lots for our program. And
what's up, Jason? Happy belated birthday.
You're on the Wes Buck
Show.
Happy
birthday, brother.
We're eating, and that is Nate down there.
back in California and fine dining.
Fine dining. Easy peasy. And how about your last week's winner?
The man himself,
There he is.
The man.
Matt. Congrats, brother. Hey, we got to talk this week because I want to do a story on all these race day fits.
Oh, yeah. Check it out.
He
We're
looks
gonna talk
good,
about
don't he? Hell, I'm even starting to look at the crazy bastard.
I know. I know.
Here's,
He's built like a brick shit house.
There's Erica
Erica.
and Leah,
Hi, Leah.
Hey, girls.
Nikki,
Hey, Nikki.
Janelle, and Chloe.
Hey, girls.
I'm surprised JT's not there.
No shit, it's unbelievable.
I didn't get an invite. My God.
Yeah, God. All right, take me off this deal.
Thanks,
Thank you,
brother.
guys,
We'll talk
and
to
I'm
you soon.
looking forward to it.
Appreciate you, Richard. Talk soon. See y'all.
Bye.
All right, bring the boys back in here. JT, Mike, I want to see your pretty faces. Let's dive into this deal a little bit further because I do feel, I mean, I don't know about you, Vic, but like my phone's been ringing. Our web traffic went bonkers on Friday. We wanted to get that news out as soon as humanly possible. But I do think that this is a moment where we have an opportunity to truly elevate the sport. You and I have had a lot of conversations about like legacy, lasting impact, that we want to be here and make a difference and leave the sport better than we found it. And I think that this is something that we can really feel good about, you know, as we move forward into the future, because this is something that I think I wouldn't be surprised if the NHRA doesn't put together some sort of triple crown in 2026. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes something that is more of an expectation. And for the people that are naysayers or doubters, the NHRA Western Swing, which has been happening for 35 years or something like that, it's been swept, I think, 8 or 9 times. So don't tell me it can't be done.
It can absolutely be done. I mean, in the first year of us calling it the Winter Series, Ken Cortuccio went to the finals in 2 races. And honestly, I think we expected him to go further than he did at World Series of Pro Mod, but that's what makes drag racing so cool, is that you just never know. So on paper, yeah, I mean, it may sound difficult, but the same way you never know when somebody's going to lose, you never know when somebody's going to win. And Kai Kelly was a perfect example of that. So anything is possible this winter at Bradenton. Literally anything can happen, and somebody may win $1 million in just drag racing 3 events.
Think about
it's definitely going to be
go ahead.
It's going to be way more challenging, I think, though, than the Western Swing, because that's back to back to back, and you're kind of running the same competition. Everybody, like, you can get in a groove. And I think with it being at least 30 days between our events, changing weather conditions, and then just the insane competition we have at our events, you're talking about taking it to a whole nother level. So I feel like there's going to be crazy competition, but I think one thing that we're trying to balance, and that this is gonna up the ante on the competition, but we're there to have fun. And that's the thing that I've seen more than anything. Like, as soon as we made this announcement, I saw like sportsman racers, top sportsmen, some of those classes, some of the ones that don't quite get the promotion that we put behind Pro Mod just because of the way things are structured. They're like, we wouldn't miss it. It's just that there's something in the air, the vibe, the fun, everyone is there. Like, and I think it's because it's during that winter off season when you might go on a vacation, but these are drag racers and they're vacationing basically at Bradenton Motorsports Park, and everyone's there to have fun. So we're going to take this thing to another level, but we won't forget kind of our main mission, which is to make this whole deal fun.
Which, man, it's fun. Even when we're not racing, we always talk about it like behind the scenes and after the events, like the vibe, the people, and like just walking through the lanes and seeing Lyle Barnett and Antron Brown and Stevie Fass and Ken Cortuccio, just seeing the Erica Enders and just seeing all these people that you would never, ever normally see in the staging lane suited up at the same time. It's amazing. But I'll tell you for sure that as a driver, I got to experience World Series with Pro Mod, and I've never done anything that special or that cool in a car ever in my life. Just qualifying and doing my big smoky burnouts with the stands packed of diehard Pro Mod fans, and making my like first good run ever in a Pro Mod, and then coming back and you got Mark Mickey is celebrating, and I got guys that I've looked up to forever saying, "Hey man, good run!" Like the feeling of these 3 races is unmatched, and I'll die on that sword.
After you made that first good hit and went number 1, me and Brian were up in the booth. We're like, let's see how quickly Vic actually makes his way up here to the announcer's booth. And then it was literally like 4 minutes, and here comes Vic. He's out of breath, and he's just pumped up. He could not wait to get on there and start talking about that run.
How nervous were you, Vic, on that first run?
What'd you say?
How nervous were you?
How nervous were you on that first run?
No, I won't. If I get in the car and I feel nervous, I won't do it. I don't ever usually feel nervous. I feed off of like the energy of there being a lot of people and stuff, but I can't put into words. But to date, I think forever. I think for the rest of my life, the past that I will remember, the experience that I will remember, the first time I qualified for the World Series of Pro Mod and raced World Series of Pro Mod and made that 361 pass, whatever it was, that weekend will be the highlight of my drag racing life. And I've seen a lot of cool stuff. I've done a lot of cool stuff. I've paid a lot of money out to people, given some cool awards. I've done a lot of cool stuff, but there is nothing cooler to me than that World Series of Pro Mod, my first time racing. That was insane.
That was. Richard's going to give me a bonus. He said, like, if somebody wins 2 races, I'm supposed to be at their pits every night trying to get them to go out. So.
You're good at that. You're really good at that.
I wanted to make that moment of time that we're going to have between the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals and the U.S. Street Nationals is going to be absolutely electric. I mean, I've got chills just talking about it because there's going to be so much pressure, a level of pressure that's, in my opinion, never been seen before in drag racing. I mean, the guy who wins at the Snowbirds, and we've seen that it can be anybody. It could be Kai Kelly. It could be Scott Taylor. It could be any of these big name radial racer or no prep racers. It could be any of these small tire guys that have, strapped on the big floppy tires to come play with us. It's anybody's game down there. When you've got 80 some odd cars, almost all of which are capable of running the number, it's anybody's ball game. And I think it's going to be fun to tell that story between those 2 races and see if it's possible. And God forbid, I mean, unbelievable if somebody actually wins 2 of them in a row. Can you imagine
going into World Series?
The girl is going to be sweating bullets headed into.
I saw somebody talking about a bounty online. Like you got to put a bounty on whoever wins the first race, and then if they win 2,
well, you don't have to. There is a bounty because whoever wins. Yeah, whoever wins that first race is going to have a target on their back like no other. Because, we're all competitive. It's an ego-driven sport at the end of the day, right? We all want to win. If I don't have a chance at winning $1 million because of you, I want nothing more than to beat you. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be something we've never seen before.
I'm really excited for it.
I am too, man. I just think, and again, just getting the gang back together. To Mike's point, I think. For us, priority number 1 is making sure people have a great time. We go down there and we want to make memories. That's what I want. I think that's how you want to create an event that you don't have to advertise. You want to create an event that people will advertise for you, and they will tell you, you just got to be there. You've never seen anything like it. And whenever you create those moments, that's when the magic really starts to happen. And we go down there, and that's our sole focus, is make sure people are having a blast, that they feel welcomed, that they've got whatever they need to make sure that they're going to have a fun and successful weekend at the racetrack. And one of the ways that I'm really excited about is, tell us about all the improvements that are going on at Bradenton Motorsports Park. You guys are pouring concrete, tearing shit down, rebuilding stuff, painting the tower, installing new bathrooms. I mean, kind of take us through all of this.
No, it's been insane. I'm here right now. We've been doing all kinds of stuff. So every time that we do an event, behind the scenes, what a lot of people don't see is guys like myself and Josh and Wes and Wade and Mike, and we see inefficiencies or things that we want to improve upon or things that we think would improve or enhance the fan experience, and we take serious note of that stuff. And we've been pretty good about that. Pretty much every year since I've been here in the summer, we've done some upgrades. But this is going to be sick. I'm going to actually film a video today to do an update. So we'll probably post it tomorrow. But we're doing a lot of stuff. We're doing stuff that we didn't even post about yet. But we got the bathrooms are brand new, fresh, and just beautiful. The entrance road and the new pit gate setup that we got going on. We haven't really got to show too much of it, but it's starting to come together now that it's all formed and laid out and ready to be poured. Once we get a day or two where it doesn't rain, we'll get that all poured. That'll be, awesome. And we're also, there's some other things we're doing over here. There's some things that people have asked for that we've got going on. And when you come back to BMP, whether it be the Winter Series or FL2K, but when you come back and we reopen, you're going to be mind blown when you pull through the gate.
I literally
some surprises. I love that.
We got some surprises.
Yeah, I was watching one of the videos that you guys put up, and Garrett actually hinted toward even more improvements next year. That this is kind of just the start. You guys have got some stuff. He mentioned the poles. Now that you guys have moved the scoreboards, moving the electrical poles and the lighting poles and stuff.
Poles are we talking about here?
JT wants a different kind of pole installed down there. If you could work on
that, might be happening too. We got some surprises. No, we truthfully, it seems like there's so much time to do these things, and there's not, because we're knocking on August's door. Once we get to August, to me, it's like, oh shit, FL2K is like almost here, and then from there on, it goes so fast. From FL2K to Snowbirds is like 3 weekends in like the blink of an eye. So we really don't have a ton of time to do all of the things that we wanted to do. We had really big plans, and we had to be selective of what we can really get done in this time frame. But yeah, next year's upgrades will be also off the chain. So I think pretty much Garrett and I are just going to spend every dollar we make on this place until it's perfect. So this summer we're spending a bunch, and next summer we have some plans to do some pretty cool stuff too.
It's exciting, man. And I hope you know that there's like a whole community of people that just love and appreciate to see promoters and track owners that are reinvesting, because that's kind of been a sore spot in our sport. Like, so many of these facilities were built in the mid 60s or early 70s. And there's plenty of tracks around the country that you can go to that unfortunately haven't changed too much. And with the expectation of customers in 2025, it's high time for a lot of these facilities to kind of embrace that people expect a lot, in this day and age. I mean, there's a ton of entertainment options, and 9 times out of 10, it's hot when you head to the racetrack. So you've got to try to find as many ways to keep people comfortable and happy as possible. I'm curious, let's talk a little bit about FL2K. It feels like there's been like a lot of movement in the street strip kind of world right now. I think it's well known that you and I, like, while we're certainly pro mod guys, we're streetcar guys at our core. We want something that we can go do like a 4th gear pole, on the highway somewhere. And but it has been. We've seen Streetcar Takeover go through some changes. Justin Keith left the company. Chase Lautenbach has doubled down, brought on some new partners, hired some people. Justin's going out and starting some of his own events. We've also had Texas 2K, Peter's event, move from Houston, Baytown, which unfortunately closed a couple of years ago, move that event to the legendary Texas Motorplex outside of Dallas. I mean, and of course, we got one of the crown jewels of the Streetcar World Tour coming up, FL2K. Can you kind of take us through some of that? I know that was really how you first started in race promotion.
Yeah, so I had just been a fan of, still am, but I was a fan of Supras. And for a long time, TX2K was just a Supra meet. It was literally just Supras. So I started going to TX2K in 2007, and it was my senior year of high school, and it happened to fall on my spring break. So took my dad's car, and one of my dad's friends rode with me. That was the only way I was allowed to go, and I went to TX2K, and I fell in love. Fast forward, I didn't miss a year, and then 2013, I was like, man, so many people come to this event from Florida, and it's such a cool event. Like, we should do this in Florida, and we could do it at a time of year where it's not competing. So I reached out to Peter Block of TX2K and got his blessing, and because the 2K moniker is like trademarked, so I'm the only like other official 2K event that's like allowed to happen. So Peter gave me the go ahead. Alan Shervitz, that owned the track at the time, I don't know how I convinced him to let me do it. I didn't have much like track experience. And then in 2013, I did my first one. And man, since then to now, like, I'm a diehard pro mod guy, but before any of that, I'm a streetcar guy. The streetcar scene is absolutely insane. It's grown so much. You got guys like what we call a streetcar now is like a 2,000 horsepower Lamborghini, or it could be like a 1,200 horsepower Civic or a 1,500 horsepower Supra. So that's what's really cool about FL2K. The same thing, just the variety of cars. People come from all over the world. We get cars that are shipped here from Europe. We get cars that shipped here from some of the islands like Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and this and that. And same thing, we threw really good money at it. And for a while there, and I mean, probably still so, FL2K and TX2K are like the highest paid street car events of the year. So what we've just created like an event where it's a really good variety of street cars and cars that are relatable to people. People come from all over the place. It's kind of like a lifestyle event. It's a party. You have fun and you race for a big prize. I think that's like the magic of like World Cup finals. If you win that cup, that's epic. You don't even ask about the money. You just want the cup. So like we're slowly but surely seeing that events like FL2K and TX2K are turning into that. Like you just want to say you won that event. So I'm really proud of that one. That one's always going to be my baby. If it was not for TX2K and then FL2K, I wouldn't even be sitting here right now.
It's pretty amazing, man. Do you think that, Richard made that point about accessibility and attainability, and I do think that there's a lot of truth to that. Mike and I talk about it all the time, and don't get me wrong, to compete with the Stevie Jacksons of the world, right? And some of these, very well-resourced big operations, the Alanabi Racing, Alanabi Performance Contingent, etc. There's certainly some people spending money, but the truth of the matter is that, a couple of guys that are small business owners with a relative success could likely pool their resources and go pro mod racing. And I think that's the magic of it. I mean, you have guys that haven't, bought a car 10 years ago, are still racing it, have kept it updated or whatever. But do you think that's kind of what's happened in the street car scene as well? Because when I was growing up, when I was a senior in high school, having something that made 500-600 horsepower meant it had a solid roller cam in it, no, open headers, manual brakes, was like a race car, right? But now you can make 1,000 horsepower with like a junkyard LS in a single turbo that you ordered
or like you could buy a Hellcat and do like some basic mods to it and it makes 1,000 horsepower, runs 8s. So that's definitely the magic of the street car world, is that it's so relatable. Like there's people that are literally in the stands watching that drove a Nissan GTR here that just has bolt-ons, but they see somebody go 6s and 7s, and they might leave here and go call Sissio Performance and build one. The Mark V Supra. We have a whole class for the B58 and X58 engine or S58 engine. So BMW M3s, Toyota Supras, same thing. There's a guy in the stands with a stock one or one that goes 10s or 11s, watching people go 8s and 7s, and he might leave and be like, "Dude, I'm so fired up. I'm ordering a single turbo and I'm going to build my car." So we have so much traction and so much momentum and so much opportunity to compete with us, and just making it known that anybody could do this stuff, which I think is so important for drag racing. And it is. Like what I did with my pro mod, the thing that I was most proud about was I've told so many people, I've even told people that come to like FL2K or when we used to host DCT World Cup, like, man, the money that we're spending on some of these cars, it's not that far-fetched to go build a pro mod, And I kind of proved that point. I sold some cars. I took a little bit of time. I took my time to do it, built the pro mod, and came out here. And I didn't, break any records or do anything crazy, but I qualified for the quickest and fastest door car field ever. And it was a blast. I had as much fun or more fun than I would doing anything else that I've done in a car. So just showing that, like, there's tons of opportunities to do any kind of drag racing, whether it's a test and tune, roll racing, drag racing, and drag racing on a high level, bracket racing, whatever. We just need more people to be engaged in the sport and see that this is real life. Like, you can come out here and do this.
And I think what you're saying bears out if you look at the numbers on Flow, FL2K, TX2K, so World Cup. A lot of these events like that are some of their most watched events, right up there with any of the stuff that we do and any of the other drag racing they carry. So I know that most like traditional drag racers and probably a lot of our audience think that that's kind of a, off in the back corner type of thing, but that deal has become at the forefront in mainstream drag racing at this point, and competes with some of the traditional drag racing that we're all used to.
Living in Texas, it is not at all unusual for me to go out for dinner or go to the store and see somebody wearing a TX2K shirt. Like, it is a fairly
you see common. A ton of World Cup shirts around here.
Yeah.
Like, I swear I was at Lowe's like 2 weeks ago. Dude's rocking a World Cup t-shirt. Just in the same aisle.
I was driving the other day, and there was a kid. He was probably like a high school kid. waiting on the school bus or getting off the school bus, something, but in an FL2K shirt. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. But that is that kind of event. It's for everyone. And, you know, and I hope that one day some of my guys and girls that come to FL2K and compete every year, that I see them at World Series of Pro Mod or PDRA in a Pro Mod or, you know, whatever it may be. Like, I hope that they continue to progress and chase it and do, if they want to do, you know, race faster or bigger cars or, you know, whatever it is that they want to do, that they do it and that they chase it. And I hope, me and Wes have said this forever, like, that's the biggest thing about this sport that we need to push, is that anybody can do it. You just got to work hard and get it with the right people. And, you know, there's tons of guys that you said, they'll pull their money together. 3 or 4 of them will have a Pro Mod, and they'll compete and they'll do well and they'll have a blast. And that's what this sport is about. It's about having fun. It's obviously competitive, but anybody can do it.
I think that that's one of the, like, a mission. Vic, you and I have talked about this for years. Mike, when we launched Street Race Magazine many years ago together, we talked about it. But if we can connect those worlds over the course of time, because one of the things that blows my mind is I was talking to some of your buddies, Vic, that operate in the sport compact scene at World Series in 2024 or 3. They'd never seen a Pro Mod before.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
You know, and I think that, you know, I had this conversation with Chase Lautenbach from Streetcar Takeover. I said, man, for what you guys spend on a 2,500 horsepower Nissan GTR or a wild and crazy,
it's Pro Mod money.
You could go Pro Mod racing and probably tear up less stuff. You know,
you'll tear up less stuff.
You can't drive it on the street. And you can't get that social media clout that these guys can get posting these other cars.
I mean, that's what I want to see. Is I want to see a guy that has and built, you know, built a Supra and then stepped up and bought a V10 platform or bought an all-wheel drive GTR and has $250,000 invested in it or whatever. Create a pathway for him to organically level up, you know. But if those worlds, that's one of the issues that this sport, I often refer to drag racing.
We're gonna do an event. We need to do an event one year. And it's going to take a lot of effort, but we need to just like look at like what are like the hottest classes in each kind of like segment of drag racing. And we need to just do like one mashup of an event where it's like we have Pro Mods, you know, import cars, front wheel drive cars, bracket cars, no prep cars, whatever it is. But we need to have like 10 classes and get everybody in the same place at the same time. That would be the best thing for the sport ever.
I have an idea that I've been working on for a while, but this is one of the ones that I've had to kind of, you know, my guys are always telling me like, Wes,
I know, JT. I'm looking at JT down here in the green room.
One thing at a time, but I did have an idea, and this is something I'm going to do. It won't happen this year, but I really think next year it'll happen. But kind of a way we could perhaps kick it off is, what if we did a Pro Mod exhibition, a match race at FL2K? Bring in 2 guys that are our Winter Series stars. 2 of our guys, one of them could be you, right? Bring in someone to match race you, promote it at a high level, and have those cars in the pits showing people, introducing that crowd to this group of people. I think that would be...
I've always wanted to do it. Yeah, I've wanted to do it. The one year I got really close to doing it, the PDRA finals was like it might have been, I think it was the same weekend that year, where it hasn't been for the last like 2 years, but I want to do that. And honestly too, like, I think that's a lot of the magic that goes into World Series, is that if you pay attention, like pretty much every year we have like one boutique class that you wouldn't expect us to have, whether it was front wheel drive when we did Little Gangsters, whatever, but that's a lot of the magic. And when I saw Pro Mod guys running to the stands to watch the front wheel drive guys run, and I saw Pro Mod guys like giving the front wheel drive guys the like pat on the back, like, man, that thing's impressive. That's awesome. And like the same thing with Little Gangsters, like seeing, dude, Lyle Barnett runs Pro Mod, runs all these crazy cars, and he also runs Little Gangsters, because it's just, we love drag racing, but so many people aren't exposed to all of the different classes, all of the different cars, all the different rule sets, all the different tracks, and, you know, all of these things. We need to just continue to push forward and get everyone together.
I tell you, that was one of the reasons that I was so hell-bent on bringing Little Gangsters to World Series of Pro Mod, was because I knew it represented a totally different group of people that would likely never attend this event, right? They're racers. They're not great fans. They want to be involved. They want to race. So it was like, how do we get that community of people to buy into this? Well, you give them a class, you give them a place to race. And I still point to that as one of the, best things that we've done, because the other thing is, like, a lot of these communities, they have different media outlets, they have different YouTube channels, they have a whole different set of eyeballs. And if we can bring them over and borrow some of that, even for the weekend, I mean, I think we created some Pro Mod fans and some Winter Series fans out of that Little Gangsters fan base,
100%,
this past year or back in March. And if we can continue to do that by introducing, like you said, these little boutique eliminators here and there and trying something different at each of these races when we're afforded the opportunity to do so, I think there's nothing but magic that will happen, man.
Yeah, and I talked to guys that came from far away to run Little Gangsters, and they were like, man, if you guys don't have this class next year, I'll still be here. I'd love you to have it, but I'll never miss the event. Like, I'll be here regardless. And that is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. That's what we
see that
more.
a ton.
It's an amazing thing, man. Well, Vic, seriously, dude, I appreciate you believing in us. I remember when my phone rang and you said, "Hey, let's do this deal together, and let's do it at Bradenton." And look at what happened, man. Look at what has happened.
Man. I think it's really cool to think about it and to see that we both had similar visions, but we just weren't doing anything together. And we have gotten together and made so many of our dreams come true, and so many people benefit from it and get to see it. And I think, what makes these events really special is that it is what we dream of doing and what we talk about 24/7, and all these crazy ideas and things that we're getting to do. It's really cool. And shout out to everybody who supports it, because man, we have some crazy ideas, and if we didn't have some crazy fans and followers and supporters, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of this stuff. So I'm excited, man. The future's bright.
And look at the growth of both. I mean, our series is growing, and hand in hand, the growth of your facility and everything you're doing. I mean, it's like every time I see those posts, and then we're, launching the million or whatever we're doing, it's like everything like leveling up together. So that's been the coolest part about it for me.
Yeah, man, we're killing it. I'm pumped. I'm fired up. You guys got me on the show, and you got me all fired up. I'm gonna get back to work. I'm gonna get this place, get these guys working and get things going here. Shout out to the crew. They've been absolutely crushing it on these upgrades, and can't wait to show you guys. It'll be cool.
I can't wait to see all my boys in a couple of months, man. It's Wade, Petey, the whole gang, Josh, who I've really fallen for. I'm a big Josh guy.
Dude, love that guy. The only thing with Josh that's kind of weird to me is I still haven't seen Josh and Freedom Frank in the same place, and it's just weird.
Might be the same guy.
I don't know. I've never seen him at the same place.
Well, hey, thank you for everything, Vic, and I look forward to seeing you soon, buddy.
All right, guys. See you soon.
Appreciate you. Hey guys, let me take a quick second and remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Stroud Safety. Stroud Safety is known for their top quality racing safety equipment, from drag chutes and seatbelts to fire suits and blankets, all 100% made in America. Log on to stroudsafety.com today and make sure you tell them we sent you. Guys, we've got a lot of ground left to cover, and we have a big guest here in the green room that I'm excited to bring on and talk about all this wild and crazy stuff happening out on the Western Swing. Guys, let's give it up for the one and only Dylan Winefsky. What's up, buddy? Did I get your last name right? I've been sweating this all morning.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, great, man. I'm glad to hear it. Well, so for those that don't know, you made your NHRA funny car debut at the NHRA Northwest Nationals this past weekend in Seattle. I'm just curious, man, we're big origin story guys. Like, how did this come to be? I mean, we just talked about the accessibility of like pro modified racing or street car racing. The barrier to entry for a nitro funny car program is pretty significant. So I'm just curious, like, what caused you, or what was the catalyst that made you set your goal there, and how did it come to be?
So I started racing juniors when I was 8 years old, and then from there I raced for 8 years, 8 till I was 16, and then I went to Frank Hawley School. And in that time, me and my dad crewed for Terry Haddock for a few years. And then I went to Frank Hawley School, got a super comp license, and then I got in our family's fuel altered, made a couple runs on an alcohol combination we had. Then got my nostalgia funny car license in that car. Drove that car for the course of 2.5 years, give or take. And then from there, I had back in the beginning of 2024, I had an on-track preseason testing accident, which totaled that car. And we already at the time had purchased a chassis from JFR, and we were debating on what we were going to do with it, if we were going to build another 6.0 fuel altered or a nostalgia funny car, or what the deal was we were going to do. And during that time, everyone was having a hard time getting gear sets for whether it was Strange or Chrisman or Mark Williams. Everyone was having a hard time getting gears. So that was a big impact on it. And we talked with Johnny West and a couple other people, and they all said that in the long run, the best decision financially, as crazy as that sounds, was to build a big show car. You get more TV time, more publicity, and better opportunity to get sponsors.
I think that's an interesting thing that oftentimes people overlook, is because with as fast as these nostalgia funny cars, in air quotes here, funny cars have become, you're probably right that the investment, you may as well go big show racing, and at least you have the opportunity to be, guilty by association and call yourself a contender on the Mission Foods NHRA drag racing tour. I mean, I think that's a valid point. I remember a story, we did an interview, it's been many years ago, with Paul Lee, who actually had a similar revelation, where he was a very successful top alcohol funny car racer, but his sponsorship efforts by and large were falling on deaf ears. And he realized that, like, if I want to get a sponsor, if I want to attract mainstream brands or bring any sort of money to the bottom or to my program, I'm going to have to be, in the pool with the sharks. And so I applaud that. And despite it being, like we talked, a very big bite for anybody. So take us through your first weekend, man. I know you had to, the throttle hung up in E1. You had some hiccups throughout the weekend, but I think that's to be expected for a brand new program, right? I hope you're not beating yourself up too bad, but can you kind of take us through it? And JT was asking Vic Alvarez about nerves earlier in the show. I'm curious. I mean, like that had to be something of a butterflies in your stomach type of moment.
Yeah, so Friday we warmed the car up for Q1, and mag drive broke during the warm-up. It was a little colder, so the oil was thick. So the mag drive broke right where it goes into the oil pump. So it had no oil pressure, so we had to swap mag drives. And that gave me a good amount of butterflies right there. It was going into it. Mag drive we've never used before. Had to reset the timing and everything. And so Q1 we go up there. I got a single, and I tried to stay with it too long and ended up crossing the center line probably 600 feet or so, just shortly after half track, and took out the 2,000-foot cones. And like I said, I did try and hang with it too long, and I learned from that. Q2, we go out there, and it goes 422, no problems or anything. Dropped the hole probably 700, 800 feet or so, and made a little move towards the wall. No big deal. Went 422, 291 personal best. For us, it was a killer 60 foot with a 922, and then skipped Q3, we skipped Q3 to get the courage for Q4, and went maybe 100, 150 feet, and it rattled the tires real bad and got out of it. And from there on, we sat at the pit and waited to see if we were going to get in on Sunday. And when we did, we serviced the car, got that all ready. And then, come E1, we go up there, start the car, make final adjustments before they lowered the body. And I did burnout. And as soon as I let go, throttle hung open, or it had a real bad high idle. And I did everything on my power. The first thing I did was try and get yanked on the tow hook with my foot. That didn't do anything, so I did the next best thing that I could have done, was grab a handful of brake. And unfortunately, when I did, and it wasn't unfortunate, it was probably, again, the best situation that could have happened, was the clamp that holds fire bottle cable to the brake handle, because that's how on a funny car the fire bottles are on the brake handle. And the little clamp broke off the brake handle and tension set the fire bottles off. But when it set the fire bottles off, there's a pressure switch that sends a signal to the command module, and that shuts off the fuel and pops the parachutes. And as soon as I heard the idle start going up and down, I just had my hand on the brake and I was waiting for it to do a lean pop. Because when you take fuel away with the idle up, you think it's going to go lean and it's going to bang the blower. Thankfully, it didn't. So I hopped out and crawled over the wall, and Austin won it and smoked the tires and could have won my first round.
Yeah, I know, right? Because I'm sure you were like geared up to run 415 or 420 or something. You certainly could have won that round. I'm sure that was a tough pill to swallow, man. But so tell us real quick, just about like what's the future hold, man. I believe I said this was your debut, but I think this was actually your second race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was my second race, Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was my first race.
Yeah, so your second race, sorry about that, but what does the rest of the year look like for you guys? I mean, we've been talking about the undertaking that a racing at this level is. I mean, are you anticipating a few more shots here before the end of the year? And what's 25 or 26 look like?
So we're going to go to Vegas in the fall, do that race. We're talking about maybe going to Dallas, but it's going to be financial and also trailer wise. We got to upgrade our trailer, so we don't really want to go. Seattle was a little bit of a stretch with our trailer, and we don't really know if we want to go to Dallas with this trailer. So we'll do Vegas in October, and then next year we'll start off with Phoenix and Vegas back to back, and then really just go from there. It'll really be up financial wise as to what we do next year.
Totally understand, man. Well, hey, dude, it's fantastic to see fresh faces popping up in the Nitro ranks, man. We need more of that, not less. And we're super proud of you and super happy for you. And you can't wait to see what the future holds for the Nitro Moose team, man. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us for a little bit. And I look forward to seeing you. I hope you come to Texas because that's my backyard, man. It'd be nice to meet and hang out a little bit. So if you do get down this neck of the woods, please let us know because the legendary Texas Motorplex is probably one of my favorite racetracks on the planet Earth. Billy Meyer, Christy Meyer, everybody involved down there, Eric, the whole gang. They've got a great group of people, and they run one of the tightest operations our sport has to offer. So I hope you get to enjoy it.
And it's a great track too.
It is, man. Well, thanks, Dylan. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy. All right, guys, let me take a quick second, to remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of Red Line synthetic oils, formulated to win, proven by you. We're talking about a brand trusted by the best in the business: Ty Tutterow, Steve Torrance, Callie Mills, Spencer Hyde, Scott Palmer, Tommy Franklin, and the list goes on. These aren't just weekend warriors. They're champions, killers, and contenders who rely on Red Line to get it done. Formulated to win, proven by racers like you. Check out the full product lineup at redlineoil.com. Mike, JT, we've got some time. Very rarely does it seem like we've got time to shoot the shit like we typically enjoy doing. But I've got all of the headlines from the beginning of the show that we skipped over with Richard and Vic. So I think we could kind of spin back around and dive into some of these if you guys are down to clown.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey,
one of the guys,
yeah,
I was going to say, I mean, if we're going to dive right in, we were talking about match racing at one of these streetcar events. We're going to have some fresh blood on the grounds at World Series of Pro Mod. Actually, I mean, he was there in a different class, but stepping back into Pro Mod, the one and only Tommy DiApril.
Longtime Drag Illustrated columnist. I think the most consistent columnist we've ever had in the history of Drag Illustrated. I don't know how many issues that the Real Deal with Tommy DiApril has been in, but it's been in, Mike, do you know? It's been well over 100.
It's a lot. It's a lot, man.
It's a lot. I mean, and they're good too. I always love reading.
I get a ton of feedback on them. And that's one of the things that we've had a lot of people like reach out to us about, hey, I want to write a column in the magazine. And I kind of have the same conversation with each and every one of them, is that the first one is real easy, right? Because it's all the shit you've been wanting to say for your entire life. But once you say it, in the second one, it's manageable because it's all the stuff that wouldn't fit in the first one. But when you get to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and on, it becomes a real challenge. It becomes something of a burden. And so I'm always really hesitant with the op-ed type of stuff. Like, you got to make sure people are really ready to commit to it. And Tommy, no surprise, if you know Tommy DeApril at all, it's not a surprise that he would honor that commitment. And I'm glad to see him back. I'm so glad to see him back. He has been I told him this when he won the IHRA Pro Modified Championship back in whenever that was, late 2000s, driving alongside Quayne Stott. He's a star. I mean, he can talk the talk. He's got the look. He's got the attitude. He has a great personality, and he's a very capable wheelman. So I think it's going to be fantastic for the series. I'm glad to see him teaming up with the guys at R&R Connecting Rods to make this possible. They got a brand new car, or new to them, from Luis Wimet, one of our Canadian Winter Series brethren, and who is also building a new car. And hoping,
is that how you say
it? Wimet,
is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
I've butchered that every time.
It's French Canadian. I was pretty proud of that, and I thought, we're going to roll with it, but now we're going to have to break it down. But I'm pretty sure that's correct. Wimet, Q-U-I-M-E-T-T-E. So I'm pretty sure it's Wimet. But anyways, great looking car, proven car too, and I think it's going to be a match made.
It's an orange C7, right?
Yeah, the orange C7.
How about, speaking of orange C7s, did you see Derek Minholtz's new car that just rolled out from PRC with that new Synergy C7 body on it? I think that's the first one. There's going to be a lot of those out there. I think he's got a lot of those cars. Tim from Synergy's got a lot of those bodies in circulation right now with cars being built. And I think that's the first one to be Scooter Daddy. I think that's the first one to be complete. And man, that thing looks good. That's definitely nothing against the old body, but it's a step up for sure.
You see Nate Saylor's car?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
those Mustangs are some of the best looking race cars. I've never been a Mustang guy.
What did you say?
I know. I've never been a Mustang guy.
I agree.
I'm a bow tie guy, but
the '67 Mustang
incredible looking
body
race car
is the best, easily the best looking Ford body
of all time. I remember when Mike Ashley rolled out the '67 Mustang. I believe it was, if not the first one, damn close to the very first one in NHRA Pro Mod competition. It was the AMS Pro Mod Challenge back then, and that thing, incredible. I knew that that's what our sport needs. Like, that's what Pro Mod needs, is this diversity. And yeah, it's swoopy and aerodynamic, but it's a '67 Mustang, right? GT 500 Mustang, and I love seeing those bodies out there. So I'm excited that Nate Saylor and those guys have put that hot rod together. He's been burning my phone up, man. Nate and I have been talking a lot. He's hey man,
what about Minholt in the C7? Is he bringing that to Winter Series, or is that an NHRA legal car?
I believe that car is destined for the Drag Illustrated Winter Series. Derek's a longtime friend of mine, a great West Coast guy that's just an all-around incredible human being. He supported us at the World Series of Pro Mod when we were running it in Denver every year without fail. He's, like I said, great family man, great dad, great husband, and he's the type of guy that I like to have involved with what we do. And he supports the sport in a big way. I mean, if he's not sponsoring a track or racing at a track, I mean, he's doing something, building cars, whatever he's got to do. And now he's out here racing with Scott Tidwell Motorsports on the NHRA Pro Mod Tour. So it's great to see him in this level of competition. I'm excited to. Those C7s are damn good looking too. Those are probably my favorite body style of Corvette ever. And I was bummed out.
Well, this new one is way. I mean, you've seen it, right?
It's
the video and the photos. I mean, it's radically different.
And it's hella good looking.
You didn't like the C8 at all? Like, I mean, not racing wise.
Yeah, for street car, I know you and I have debated this.
Yeah, I really like it.
I'm not a C8 guy.
I'm not a C8 guy, man. For me, it's like anti-Corvette. It's like Corvette is like a front engine, rear wheel drive. I understand it's a sports car, and it's probably more of a sports car than a muscle car. But I felt like the C7, even the C6, the C5, C6, and C7 Corvettes were this awesome marriage between muscle car and sports car, right? Like two-seaters, rear-wheel drive, all these things. And I just think those cars are.
You have for lunch.
Yeah, I know. All I've had to eat today is a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's
so,
good.
and it does me in.
That's good for good nutrition.
I was kind of hoping that everybody.
I was fasting. I've been fasting. You know me. I don't eat.
Oh yeah.
I don't eat.
Don't eat. If you're hanging out with Wes, you got to find your own food.
Yeah, one meal a day. OMAD, they call it. I have typically one big meal a day. That's kind of my go-to. You know, I don't know that it's a great strategy. But yeah. And Jason Sharp in the comments, what's up? Checking in from Doha, Qatar. I like saying Qatar better than Qatar. I think Qatar just, I don't know, it hits different.
Qatar like the official pronunciation?
That's what they say on Fox News.
Yeah,
Really?
I like Qatar better.
I like Qatar better. But he's talking about Manny.
Mispronounce it.
Manny's old 67 Novas back in the day. We've had, I still think Mike Bowman's Chevelle is badass. I mean, a 69 Chevelle is hard to beat. I'd like to see a couple of those cars come back out. Do you remember the twin turbo?
Qatar.
Okay, so we're good.
We're doing it right.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
I've never heard Cutter.
They say
Really?
it all over
I've had
the
a
news.
lot of.
Qatar.
I've had people
Yeah.
correct me.
Yeah.
You
Like
listen?
Qatar.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. You can't tell me nothing, dog.
I was
You
gonna
can't
say,
tell me
I was
nothing.
gonna say,
You know, like you want me to turn it on? I got Kanye right here, ready to go. You can't tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing. Don't make me get my chains out. You know. So
Oh man.
yeah, I've switched. Call me 2 Chains. I got 2 now. Vic has 1, so I
those
switched
are
to 2.
18-inch chains though. Just look.
I really
longer.
like the long ones. You know, it's money long, dog. Money long. No. Anyways, so next topic. Glad to see Tommy DeApril coming back. Huge shout out to those guys for putting this deal together. Excited to welcome into our family. Joey Martin. He's been sending me some badass photos. Joey Martin, this is one of my, and he's going to come on the show. He promised me.
If
that he's
Joey's
gonna come
building
on
it,
the show.
it's going to weigh about 1,800 pounds.
Right.
Or it'll probably weigh 1,200 with him in it. You know, knowing Joey. But Joey and I have, I won't say that we've ever been like best of friends, but we've always been friends. Like we've always stayed in touch. And when he left drag racing, I was bummed out about it. And anytime he's had an opportunity, we've tried to support him. And he's just another one of those guys that are like fucking great guys. I mean, just a great guy to be around. And I bumped into him at the World Series of Pro Mod. And he came down there just to support us, just to be there. And that stuff, when you have racers that are that level of racer that are coming and, you know, gritting their teeth and participating as a fan, that feels like victory to me, because it's hard to get a dyed in the wool drag racer, somebody who's raced at high levels and been there and done that, to come out and be a fan, to be a spectator. So when Joey showed up, I was like thrilled. And he asked me, he's like, hey man, you've got me wanting to do this again. If I build a car, you know, you got to tell me, because I don't want to build a car to run it and not be able to run it. And I was like, listen, Joey, you're part of the family. You've been a part of this deal for a long time, from Orska to ADRL, going to Huntsville, Montgomery, Alabama, all the different places I've hung out with this cat. I'm going, if you build a pro mod, you're always going to have a seat at the table with us, man. And I'm really excited for him. He says he's going to come on the show when the car gets a little further along and we can break it down and kind of talk about his return. But I'm genuinely excited about it, man. I mean, that's one of them good old boy race car drivers that people can rally around, you know, and you know he's going to come down there and run good.
Oh yeah. With, different approach. He's probably going to have to put as many weight tabs on that thing as he can find.
I would say
that's
the
gonna be
case.
the only thing, Joey. That's how we have to do it these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is the truth, man. Okay, so next topic, we've got small tire scene staying hot. The good Doomsday No Prep coming up in August. I popped in on Michael Hollis and Barrett Green's live stream the other night on Facebook as they announced the classes and payouts for their event coming up at Extreme Raceway Park, August 15th and 16th. I just love seeing these grassroots promoters that have spent a lot of time racing themselves, been involved in the sport for generations, and been involved in a lot of different ways, continuing to throw their hat in the ring as promoters and working their butts off to do a good thing for local racers. I tell you, the small tire scene here in Texas, it doesn't matter if you go to Yellow Belly, XRP, you go to there's a gazillion drag strips down here, it seems like, and damn near every weekend there's some sort of small tire shootout going on. And I just think it's a cool thing to be a part of, even from afar, you know?
Did you?
Those are my boys.
You got your car?
Yeah, I've still got my car. Jimmy Dale blew the motor up in it, so we've got to fix that. He didn't actually.
I thought you sold
his
it.
fault. No, I thought I had it sold, but we broke a lifter. Lifter went through the motor, so we're in the process of getting the engine fixed, and we'll get it back out. My goal is I really want Jimmy to race it. That's what I want to have happen. However, my 17-year-old son Max told me over the weekend that he would like to race. So that may get me in trouble. I don't know, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm not 100% sure what the future.
You have to
holds for
move the
that.
pedals if Max gets in that thing.
Dude, I let him drive my truck the other day, and I couldn't even reach the steering wheel. Yeah, I mean, I felt like a
little
child.
baby.
It
Get
was
in there.
terrible. It was really, really terrible.
It probably is hard to drive anymore without people coming out with large phone books to set on.
Yeah, no joke, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
no joke.
It's
Thanks.
been a tough thing for people. Yeah.
Oh, JT did that to me one time. I remember we were going to go to lunch. We were walking out of the office, and we were going somewhere. I don't know. We were probably going to Wood Nickel, if I have to, or La Pachanga, going to the local Mexican joint. And I ran out. He's like, "Come on, let's go to lunch." And we run out of the truck, and I swing the door open, and he's got a car seat in there for me. In the front seat. It was real
I've got
sweet.
the video somewhere. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it was real sweet of him. Thanks, JT. I love you too, man. Hey, I'm curious, what do you guys make of, we did a story on dragillustrated.com this day, which was kind of a recap of Randy Couture's live stream that he did on Facebook, where he kind of addressed his fans and all of his followers following his fiery crash in testing at Flying H Drag Strip. They were there making some shakedown runs in the Al Capone Skag Power Equipment back 37 Chevy, trying to get his feet wet. The car made a move a couple 100 feet out, hit one wall, hit the other, gas tank exploded, and pretty nasty fire from what I understand. And Randy was able to get out of the car by and large under his own power, but was air flighted to a local burn unit and has since been released and is treating his injuries. But I'm just curious, like, I think we were all fearful that something like this could happen, right? These things are dangerous beasts. I think the danger of these cars and the courage required to drive them is often understated. I think that's something, for all that we talk about in terms of accessibility and attainability, there's also this flip side of the coin, is that it takes some gigantic balls to hold the pedal down in one of these cars and let off that button. And I don't think there was any doubting the courage of Randy Couture.
Well, if you got the balls to step into an octagon and do UFC fighting, you are pre-qualified to jump in a pro mod from that alone, from that perspective alone.
I agree. But do you think, what's your take on this? Obviously, I don't know the inner workings, and I don't know, the damage to the car, or if there are other cars, or if there are other opportunities for him to get involved. But do you think this is the type of thing that runs him off for good? Or do you think that the competitor in him won't allow him to give up?
I don't really know. I mean, we really don't have a lot of info on the whole situation. We didn't have a whole lot of info on his program and what he was doing and when he was going to make his debut. And then now we don't really know. It sounds like it was a pretty significant accident, and he got pretty significantly injured. So you hate that. And I think maybe that alone could make you tend to think that it could be the end. But I sure hope that we get to see him in a competitive environment at some point. But I kind of hate to say this, but him having this accident got more mainstream news and exposure for drag racing and for him and for Pro Mod and for what he was trying to do than if he'd have won a race or maybe even won the championship. I mean, the fact that we would be all over that and report that, and so would our drag racing media outlets in the industry. But to have this deal picked up on TMZ and all over every local news channel and every national
MMA
news
sites
outlet
were reporting on it.
Yeah, you hate it, but we always joke about it. Somewhat jokingly, we say that it takes someone getting hurt or a bad crash or someone getting killed for drag racing to make the front page news. And this was another example of that. So I kind of hate that. But at the same time, it brought a lot of exposure to the fact that Randy was working to make his debut in drag racing.
I think that, to me, I'm so glad you brought that up, Mike, because that's the whole reason that I'm so hell-bent on this $1 million deal, the Elite Motorsports Million, because I'm tired of living in a world where for drag racing to get mainstream media attention, somebody's got to get hurt. Shit's got to get tore up. And that has been that way for years and years and years, whether it was Leah Pruitt's terrifying crash or, Leah Stewart's terrifying crash in Top Fuel. I remember when Larry Dixon's car came apart at the Gator Nationals a few years ago. And
the one I
Mark
remember
most,
it was Troy Critchley's deal that he had at that parade or whatever exhibition he was, where he did a burnout and injured and killed a lot of people way back then. What was that, like 2004 or 5 or something like that? Back in the ADRL days.
Yeah.
And remember that was literally all over everything.
Everywhere.
Like we had like, lawyers and news outlets and stuff calling us and calling Drag Illustrated and other outlets and other people in the industry to get info on that thing for possible litigation and all that other stuff. So that was a mess.
I think it just drives
I really
our
remember
point
that
home is that we've got to change the conversation around drag racing. I don't think we can just wait for, the next catastrophe to unfold because if you look at ESPN, I think the only time that drag racing has been part of like the top 10 or any sort of big time opportunity on Sports Center or what have you, it's been directly correlated to a fist fight, whether that was, John Force and Tony Pedregon going nose to nose, pushing and shoving at the US Nationals a few years ago, or one of these aforementioned terrible crashes. And until we start speaking big league language, which is what $1 million, I believe, represents, because to me, it goes far beyond the money. It's about changing the trajectory of the sport and associating that type of prize with drag racing. Because in the editorial that I wrote this morning, there's a story in there that is told by, it was actually Brett Kepner recounting a story that he had been told by Don Garlits. It was back in it was like during the Vietnam War or something like that, 1971. But Don Garlits was invited on a USO tour with Richard Petty, AJ Foyt, and Mario Andretti. And they got to talking about prize money, like what's the most money you've ever won racing? And Don Garlits had to hesitantly say $7,400. And they laughed. They laughed at him, and they didn't laugh at him in out of disrespect.
No,
but they laughed at him out of disbelief that how can a professional race car driver, a professional drag racer, and even then the biggest name in the game, right, be racing for peanuts like that? And for whatever reason, that has stuck with me since I read it. I remember the first time I was told that story, and I asked Don to tell me that story himself, and he has since, but I remember that, and it stuck with me for a long time. And I just knew that we have to change the conversation around drag racing. And I think that we are in the process of doing that. I don't want to ever diminish the fact that it pays $50,000 to win the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals. It pays $75,000 to win the US Street Nationals. It pays $150,000 to win the World Series of Pro Mod. And those are guaranteed purses that are going to be paid. Someone's going to win them. But the merely having the opportunity for our racers to go tell their fans, to go tell their supporters, to go tell their sponsors, many of which are small businesses, right? Mom and pop businesses that, offer them a couple $1,000 or buy their fuel for the year or help them with tires or travel expenses, what have you. All of those guys get to walk around with their chest puffed out, knowing that their driver, the team that they're supporting, is going out this winter to do battle for $1 million. And whether someone wins it or not, for me, the ultimate victory would be for someone to win it. That's what we want to have happen. That's what we're doing this. But it goes far beyond just paying someone $1 million. I want to empower this entire industry, this entire community, to be like, hey, this isn't a bunch of hillbillies with hot rods. These are high-level racers and high-level competitors with latest, greatest state-of-the-art equipment that need to be spoken about in the same breath as any other form of professional motorsports. And that has not been the case. You can say whatever you want, but that has not been the case. But I think that this is a big step in that direction. And God forbid, not even God forbid, good Lord willing, we pay someone $1 million on Sunday in Bradenton after the World Series of Pro Mod. I think that would be the biggest happening in the history of drag racing, and a great way to take this whole sport to the next level. And everybody will benefit from it. The more eyes and attention that we can get on drag racing, it was just like we were talking about with Vic. The more guys that are going to maybe go build a bolt-on streetcar, right? Or maybe going to buy a blower for their daily driver, call up ProCharger and order something. That's a really important part of this, is creating that aspirational culture where guys go, I want to race for $1 million. Right? I want to be able to go drag race for $1 million. So I'm really, really proud of it. And I appreciate you guys, because I know I've been wearing everybody out with this deal for a hot minute. And now we're kind of on the other side. And I can't wait to spend the next 6 months telling this story.
No, it's going to be exciting, man.
It separates the professional, from the weekend racer or whatever. You need that prize money up there, or need to be able to talk about that prize money in a fashion that puts you in a professional category. Not like, well, Bob over here, yeah, he runs the local track for about the same amount of money. I mean, that's sad to say, but it really kind of is that way.
Steve Westberg is in the comments. He's had a lot of pointed comments here today. He's saying that what your story you just told about the low pay that Don Garlitz was receiving back then compared to those other guys kind of originates with Wally Parks and his view of the NHRA and the association being bigger than any individual racer. And we've talked at length about Wally Parks and his views and all the amazing things that he did and created. But he was very staunch in his views that it was about safety and it was about the NHRA first, before, and that paying any kind of big payout like that to any individual racer ran the risk of elevating them too far beyond what the organization could control, I guess you could say. What's your thought on that, Wes? I mean, I know we've talked about that a lot.
I think it's small-minded thinking.
I think that was thinking back then in the 50s when he created.
I think it's that times have changed.
That person, and you can attach your name to that person. You know,
I think honestly, the original slogan of the NHRA was "Where the cars are the stars," and I've always felt in my heart that was kind of when we went the wrong direction. Yeah. I mean, the cars are always.
I think that is. I think that's like a tangent to this a little bit, but I think the Wally Parks view on the safety and like kind of containing and keeping the whole
I mean, that's where I'm headed with this, is that I think by focusing on the cars, he was able to avoid having to focus on Shirley Muldowney specifically or Don Perdome specifically. Right. It wasn't about one driver. It wasn't about one car. It was about accessibility. Bring your car out to the racetrack, race in this safe environment. Come one, come all. If we don't have a class for you, we'll make one. Everybody's racing for trophies. This is about hot rodding and being a gearhead. And it was more about like the culture than turning it into like a mainstream sport. And I've always used the example of the NBA. There's no doubt in my mind that the NBA never would have become what the NBA has become without Michael Jordan, without Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, right? Like without all these transcendent stars that became bigger than the game itself. And now there's a downside to that as well.
Wouldn't you say though that I was thinking about it just at that time when NHRA was created, NFL was created, NBA was created, there was more of a system of thought or a situation culturally of creating these organizations, and it was about the organization, and it was about organization, then the team, then the individual player, and now it's all kind of reversed where the individual player carries the most weight, and it's just like a cultural shift across the board and across like the sports business landscape. Do you agree?
It's a societal change. Yeah. I mean, if you think back, like how much shit have you guys given me about being a bandwagon fan because I follow LeBron James, whatever team he's playing on?
It's true.
But I think that's like a example of this, like a really basic example is that I'm a fan of basketball, and I was, I became a legitimate Dallas Mavericks fan. I'd never lived in a town that had a professional sports team. In the last 5 years, I went to dozens and dozens of Dallas Mavericks games, and I became a legitimate fan of that organization. It was kind of a new experience for me, right? But then what happens? Luka Doncic gets traded to the Lakers, and guess who I'm going to be cheering on in the NBA season this year? The Lakers. Because I became a fan of Luka as well, and I think my loyalty lies with him. And I think fantasy sports has driven the bus on this. But I remember, and I still think
it changed way before that. Like what you're talking about with Jordan and stuff, that was the 80s. I think in like 80s and 90s, it really started to flip, where you started to get like individual players, even the NFL, MLB, that Ken Griffey, like that were like bigger than the sport itself.
Without those players, though, they struggle. You look at NASCAR when they lost all their star power, in the people. They really struggled there for a little bit to find their way. I
would argue that they are still struggling.
Yeah. I'd argue that, that they are, and they're looking for new stars.
But NASCAR didn't get big until the 80s and 90s,
right,
and Richard Petty, then Dale Earnhardt, and so on.
And then you look at, if you say football and you take away, the top 10 quarterbacks out of the league and some of the more, Micah Parsons and some of the outspoken guys, off these teams, might be kind of boring. Might not be great to watch.
It was boring back in the day. I think when it was first created back in the 50s and 60s, it was boring. But that's just like what they started with. And
I think it all goes back to like attention span and focus. Brett Kepner and I had this conversation the other day about like drag racing events and how, people have other shit to do. today. They didn't in like
That's
1975.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Mike, you and JT, like some of the keep the busiest schedules I know of, right? And it's like JT will have, you know, a softball tournament with one of his daughters in the morning, then he's got a golf tournament in the afternoon, then he's got to conduct a wedding ceremony that night, right? I mean, and that's not an unusual thing. I mean, we even experience that. Max will have a band competition first thing in the morning. Sophia's got a birthday party at 1:00 in the afternoon. I've got someone flying in for a meeting at 6:00 that night. And it's just the day and age, times have changed. And I don't think that
harder, you know about more events because of the internet and social media. People are just out there. Like I was talking to someone about dating the other day, and they're just like, it's wild. You know, they hadn't dated for so long that because used to you grew up in a community and you would usually date somebody from your group, right? Like you went to church, somebody knew somebody, or somebody from work knew somebody. So it was pretty small.
You ever meet anybody at church, JT?
Yeah, not much, man.
Yeah, speaking from experience on that one.
But now you know it's like the nation's your you know that you can pick from. So it's
absolutely, man.
But it's a wild scene out there. It's like over inundation of information that we get now. Like that's the thing too. You almost like can't even commit to an event, and you'll be at an event checking your phone for another event or doing something and thinking, what do you got to do when you leave there? You know what I mean? Like we're never in the moment and never like looking forward to that one thing because we've got 10 others that we just did and 10 more that are coming up. And it's like, you go
to like an NHRA national event and you walk by Richard Freeman's Elite Motorsports pit area during college football season, and they got the Oklahoma game on. You know what I mean? Like we've got where our attention is spread across so many different things. And I think that when we create that emotional connection with a person, it cuts through that noise. I really think that that's what it's about, is that I've said this for years and years and years on this very show, is that our goal should always be to connect people with the man or woman behind the wheel, right? Create some sort of emotional connection, tell their story, find some common ground, find a common enemy, find something that they can latch onto, because that's what's going to bring those people back and convince them to follow along for years and years to come, not just this weekend when the thrill show runs to town. And I think as long as the drag racing by and large focuses on this, hey, 300 miles an hour, hellfire and brimstone, that's going to get people out once, maybe twice. But connecting them to one of these drivers and making them a fan, getting them to fall in love or desperately despise someone, that's what's going to get them invested over the long term. The UFC is dealing with this right now at a really high level. I mean, it's one of the strongest brands in sports right now, but they are lacking star power. Yeah. When Conor McGregor, they had a meteoric rise alongside Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, these transcendent stars that had millions of followers on social media and had an opinion on everything. And we're talking about politics. We're talking about this, that, the other.
In movies and stuff.
They're
Randy
in movies.
Couture, we just talked about him. He's in, I mean, I think more people know him from the Expendables than they do from UFC.
Quite possibly, and I think that that's some of the puncturing or tapping into pop culture is so important. And I think that, the UFC right now is, you can tell that they're like trying to find the next man up. Who's going to be the next guy that's their transcendent star that can bring millions of new eyeballs to the sport. And, like as terrible as it has been to lose John Force as a competitor on a week in and week out basis, I can't help but I hate the way it happened, but I am also glad for the opportunity that exists for the next man up, because John Force for the last 30, 40 years has pretty much absorbed all of the available limelight in drag racing, specifically within the NHRA. And I've talked about it publicly before and written about it, that it's when that time came, and it certainly didn't come in the fashion that any of us wanted it to with that terrible wreck in Virginia, but there is going to be an opportunity for someone to swoop in and gobble up some of that oxygen, some of that star power oxygen. And I still think we're kind of waiting for that to happen in the NHRA, is because it's like, who's going to be the next one given the viral top end interviews? Who's going to be the next one saying the off the cuff remark that gets a bunch of shit stirred up? We need more of that. But it all goes back to money, because until our sport is able to produce able to provide a living for someone, why would they?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we encounter that. JT, we talk about it all the time. Why is someone going to go out and make some statement or stir up a bunch of shit and have to field a bunch of phone calls and deal with a bunch of fallout or say what they think when they got to go to work on Monday? Drag racing ain't
and
paying
deal
their
with what they
bills.
say.
Running this thing themselves. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean,
And,
You know,
and when you go out there and that's your job, you can kind of get into character and stay in it. Like if that's your whatever athlete, LeBron, like he's insulated. He can say whatever because he's insulated because all he has to do is play basketball and just be that character, not go to some other job where he might have to deal with some person that disagrees with him. Everybody in his aura agrees with him, and I think that is a big thing. So, but
I think that's why these $1 million deals, because part of this and another aspect of this thing that I think is worth discussing is like, and I won't like air out like dirty laundry, but I had this deal pitched and sold to a major Fortune 500 company, and I believed it was going to happen. I felt every inkling in my body was that this was going to happen, but I honestly think I wasn't asking them for enough money for me to take them seriously. You know what I mean? Like some of these big brands, you come at them and you say, hey, we need 50 grand or whatever. You need 20,000. You can't do anything for them that is going to matter compared to the 27 million they're spending on this commercial.
It's not worth the hassle for them.
It's not worth the hassle. So I think that this whole sport has to dream bigger. We can't be talking about selling 500 tickets. We got to be talking about selling 50,000 tickets. We've got to be talking, the numbers have to get bigger if we're ever going to become like magnetic and draw people in. And when we create an environment where you're bringing in major partners and you're starting to pay crazy round money, and you're starting to pay crazy good money to qualify and all those things, then I think we'll start down a course of maybe creating an environment where someone can truly aspire to be a professional drag racer. Because even if you look at NHRA, I mean, I bet we could count on our both hands how many guys or gals are actually professional racers that don't have a sideline business, that don't have, some sort of family legacy business. I mean, there are not that many professional drag racers, and we've got to change that. And it's going to take bringing more money to the party to do it.
I think Antron Brown is like somebody that I think that could really step into that role. I mean, he's just so good on camera and funny and nice guy and, outgoing. Sean Langdon had a good top 10 interview, calling some people out. I love seeing that type of stuff.
Those guys are definitely getting more air, but I would say when you're talking about the John Force thing and who's going to step into that role, oddly enough, I feel like it's been Tony Stewart. That all of a sudden we went from John Force to another super established legendary racer, just kind of like almost by accident. And so instead it didn't allow really, I won't say it didn't allow, but we thought there was this window for a new, young, fresh, up and coming star to make it happen. But no, it's another like uber legend in racing that has kind of jumped in there. And so it's like we always gravitate towards that, it seems like. But it really, his deal has been based on performance. I mean, him jumping into Top Fuel was a big story. Then we kind of just, saw how that went for the first year and a half or whatever. And then now his performance is what's carrying the day. So it's earned and deserved, but it's like, here we are again now with Tony Stewart kind of carrying the torch for drag racing. But another one that I think could carry it, and I'm hoping maybe that this catapults her a little bit more into the limelight, is Brittany Force. Like to be John Force's daughter and to have won 2 world championships, she almost flies under the radar a lot of times, more so than you would think. And so now we always know she has the capability of this kind of performance with grubby tuning with 341.85 miles per hour this past weekend. And just really at this point, when conditions are right, running 340 plus at will. And we saw Doug Coletta go 300 to the 8th this weekend. And then what did he go? 362 was the number. Like, what was it? The second quickest pass quickest, I think, in history. So we're starting to see some of these performance numbers as well. But do you think, and it kind of goes against everything we've just been talking about, but do you think that speed number and consistent 340s is something that is something to latch on as far as a newsworthy item? And is that even good for drag racing that we're starting to see consistent 340s? It was a huge deal when Tasca went the first 340 at the Pro Superstar Shootout in 2024, and now it's starting to become a little more mainstream. We're seeing it out of the top fuelers as well. So where do you think we go from here with that?
Man, it's tough. I mean, the first part of it is that I'm pissed off beyond belief that this is the fastest woman in the world, and it's not on ESPN. It's not on Fox Sports. It's not on TMZ. I mean, you've got a young lady that's well-spoken, put together. I mean, I think from a marketing standpoint, she's got a whole lot of what you're after. And she's also the driver of the fastest car on the planet. She went 341.85 miles an hour in 1,000 feet in 3.6 seconds. How is that not worthy? I mean, I saw, like, again, I hate to use these references so consistently, but like there was a Joey Chestnut is on ESPN shoving hot dogs down his throat. I mean, it's like the most obnoxious thing I've ever seen.
I can't watch that, dude.
I can't either,
I respect it, and I think it's entertaining. That we gravitate toward that. I can't watch it and then go eat a hot dog on 4th of July. It makes me sick.
I mean, the only way that run of Brittany's would have made it onto TMZ or ESPN is if the car would have exploded at the end of the run, and that is a real problem. And I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lot of layers to that onion. I mean, I think one, is it like marketing spend? Do you got to spend money with these guys? Do you got to be in the club? I mean, we hear all those things all the time. I don't know. But I can't imagine every one of these obscure sports that gets attention from mainstream sporting outlets are all throwing money at them, right?
It's worth a blip. It's worth a blip in the top 10 on ESPN or something like that.
Yeah, if we got,
I feel like they're scrubbing the bottom of the barrel
on the top 5 of the top 10. Yeah, it's like, come on, you can put one clip in there.
Dude, you got fans catching foul balls.
Yeah.
Fans catching foul balls at MLB games that make the Sports Spinner top 10. Yeah. Right. And it's like, how in the world is the fastest run in the history of drag racing not in that conversation, or not?
It's a shame.
It is a shame. But I do think that
Jimmy Dale eats hot dogs faster than Joey Chestnut.
So. I believe it, man. Jimmy can scrap.
We'll have to see that.
I tried to bring Brittany into the family. You remember that little funny story? We had him on the show.
Did you ask her to marry you?
We were at John Force Racing, and
I'm getting nervous as he's telling the story too.
I was gonna, tag her on Instagram in a post, and then we stopped at Starbucks, and you asked me for my order or something, and I threw my phone in the pocket, but I forgot to shut it off, and so it went back like 4 years and liked a bunch of her posts, and I was like, oh shit! I looked at you guys and I go, well, shot my shot, boys.
Yeah, when you start going back and liking those photos from the pool 6 years ago, you're officially a creeper. You know. I do think it's interesting because Steve Westberg dropping bombs in here. I think the lack of the JFR versus DSR has hurt more than John not racing. But it's interesting because we hear a lot of negativity around Pro Stock being the KB Titan versus Elite Motorsports show. But I honestly think that I'm cool with teams. I'm cool with there being, a couple of Titan teams. I mean, obviously it would be great for there to be all these independents and all these journeymen, but sometimes you got to roll with it, right?
Look at the car count situation too. Look at the car count we had this past weekend across all classes, really. I mean, look at Pro Stock Motorcycle. It's lacking. It has 2 big super teams and really has lost. At one point, DSR was involved in Pro Stock Motorcycle as well, but 8 bikes, I believe, in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I think 11 top fuel cars. So now we've seen this for the last couple of years, but you've got it's getting even worse as we've seen some of the attrition and just some of the economic decisions that have to be made. And I think without those super teams, you are like blowing in the wind and relying on a lot of 1 and 2 car teams to make that haul out there.
And guys that
Seattle
come and go. Like there's been, I say this to you guys, but there's been a lot of big money operators come into our sport. And I typically say the bigger the splash on arrival, the sooner the departure. And we've seen it time and time again. There's a new team in Top Fuel and they're going to be world beaters. And a year or 2 later, the fun has started to fade. The new has worn off. The honeymoon phase has ended and they're on down the road. Right.
Well, and we're losing cars too. I just think Sean Reed crashed this weekend. That's another one down. That's not going to happen in Sonoma. We talked about Jasmine Salinas on the sidelines ever since 4th, 5th race of the season. Yeah. We were talking about how as the year went on, like we're going to see some really short fields, especially.
Well, and obviously the return of the IHRA to the nitro conversation is contributing to that as well, because now you've got guys that, struggled to qualify, or, certainly struggled to go a round or two in NHRA top fuel competition, going, you know what, I can go over here, damn near be guaranteed to qualify. So I'm getting show money, essentially. And I'm probably going to go a couple rounds, and hell, if the stars and moon align, I might win this deal and bring home 50 grand. So I do think it's a real, these are always my concerns with these things, is dividing up an already limited group of people. We talk about Pro Modified and the magic of this class, from a professional drag racing standpoint, the magic being that there's such an incredible inventory.
Well, now and now we're talking about too the topic, to bring this full circle, the 341 mile per hour pass, consistent 340s, even more of those cars, those single car teams. Now that's going to be the new standard. They could barely, they were struggling to begin with, and now these top teams are hitting another gear, and you're talking about the IHRA situation and other avenues for these guys to go, and all these factors start to kind of blend together to create what you're seeing in Seattle and Sonoma and possibly other events throughout the season that are, I don't know, typically less attended.
I mean, there's probably not a better example that exists right now, like in recent memory, than what's gone on with Mountain Motor Pro Stock. We saw, Mountain Motor Pro Stock was born in the IHRA, right? Toward the end of the IHRA, or the, kind of the heyday of the IHRA, so to speak, Mountain Motor Pro Stock was removed from their professional class lineup after kind of a failed, boycott of the Canadian race. There was a brief moment in time where there was nowhere for these cars to go. And so the ADRL adopted Extreme Pro Stock. And then after the ADRL came the PDRA and maintained Extreme Pro Stock. And it kind of went through various ebbs and flows. But I think a few years ago, it was like really pretty strong. Like there was some new teams showing up. There was some new interest in it. We had the first ever 3-second run, and the performances were starting to ramp up a little bit. And there were some characters in there, Johnny Placino, shaking things up, the Boss Boys. There were some good things happening in the class. And then the NHRA Pro Stock, Mountain Motor Pro Stock Series comes along. Started out as an exhibition, I think 2 or 4 races. Now they're up to 8 races. And it took this relatively small group of people and divided them across those 2 spots, right? And now we have a third contender in that conversation, which is the IHRA's Mountain Motor Pro Stock division. So I think that class, I mean, it's going to be tough for it to thrive in any of those places, without one of them becoming the focal point. And that's always kind of the risk reward of these type of deals, in my opinion, is that, racers, especially at this level, are a limited resource, and you have to be mindful of it. And I don't know, it's going to be a very interesting thing, because I think you're staring down the barrel of like probably a pretty decent field of Pro Stock Mountain Motor cars this weekend in Milan for the IHRA national event. But how much is that going to impact PDRA Extreme Pro Stock the next weekend? And I don't know what, I'm not sure what the next Mountain Motor NHRA race is going to be, but it's going to be an interesting little run here.
Yeah. You got Milan, Martin, and then is it Indy or Brainerd? Brainerd is the next NHRA event that has Mountain Motor.
So interesting, right? I mean, I just think that's a great example of what can happen. And I suppose the cream will rise to the top per usual, you know what I'm saying? And there will be a place that those guys choose to go. But in that interim,
what do you think we're going to see performance wise in Sonoma? I mean, typically Seattle is not where we see the home runs being hit, and then Sonoma is where we see it. And so now coming off what we saw this past weekend in Seattle, I know the weather was cool this weekend in Seattle, and I haven't looked at what it is for Sonoma, but could we continue to see this march by these top teams with these speeds and these performances?
The air should be even better this weekend in Sonoma. And you're talking about a track that's already the lowest altitude track on the NHRA Tour. Then you get a little bit of cloud cover for E1, and it should be unreal, right? There's also the rarely mentioned load factor that Brett Kepner has written about on dragillustrated.com. Sonoma is one of the fastest tracks on the tour, even when the weather's not perfect. So, I was talking to Brett earlier in the week, and he told me that he's going to go out on a limb and say that records will fall across the board this weekend in Sonoma. That, if the weather holds, factoring in all those things, the way the track runs slightly uphill, we're going to see I would say you may see that 341.85 mark exceeded this weekend. You'll probably see 340 runs in Top Fuel and Funny Car
back to back like that. Yeah.
You know, it's going to be really interesting, man. It's weird to have the NHRA Western Swing conclude though without that first stop in Denver, right? I mean, it's just forever going to be
a
unusual.
swing without three
it's
races.
Not a swing.
They need to find a third track to string in there. It should be like Pomona or something, right?
I can't believe
Something.
we're
Phoenix
already. You know, this year's just
Vegas.
flown by.
This year has flown by, man. How it's July 23rd is absolutely beyond me. It's absolutely insane, man.
Yeah, I just got my taxes done for last year.
It's already time to start getting your shoebox full of receipts out.
My wife is going to kill me. She actually asked me for her anniversary. That's finish your taxes.
That's man, poor Stacy.
I know.
That's how you've lowered her standards so much that's what she's asking for.
Yep, I
Oh,
keep that
dude.
bar low, brother.
Well, I'm going to leave everybody hanging on this. We've got more big announcements coming in the next few weeks for the Drag Illustrated Winter Series presented by J&A Service. Of course, the inclusion of the Elite Motorsports Million is going to turn up the dial a little bit, but we've got some other things that we're working on, and I can't wait to make those announcements in the coming weeks. We've got lots of news coming. I saw a fan or a viewer ask a question a moment ago. When will tickets go on sale? You can look for tickets to go on sale the first week of September 2025 for the Drag Illustrated Winter Series. We're going to have a bunch of cool stuff for fans, as we've mentioned earlier in the show. Bradenton Motorsports Park, kind of ongoing improvements happening at the center of the drag racing universe right now, and I think that we're going to see even more of those, and we've got some cool stuff that we're going to roll out for the fans this year, and I can't wait to Mike Stiver got us a question. What's your view on Thunder Valley Racing?
We actually talked about that last week.
We talked about this last week.
If you go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I don't like to see any track close. Typically these things, first and foremost, man, running a racetrack is a hard business. We talked about that with Chris Mattingly from US 60 Dragway here last week, that it's a massive undertaking, and it's not at all for the faint of heart. And I think that that's why it's so important that we celebrate the tracks that we have, and we celebrate the tracks that celebrate and support the tracks that are making improvements, that are trying to up the ante year after year and bring new events in and bring new racers in. So I don't think there's ever been a time in our sport where it's more important to be doing the best that we can possibly do, right? I mean, we've got a tremendous amount of momentum. I saw somebody question momentum for what? I don't think car culture, I haven't seen hot rodding, car culture, racing, etc., more popular in my life than it is right now. Now, I missed the glory days of the 60s and 70s where everybody had a muscle car and everybody was cruising and this, that, and the other. But I really feel like this is a high tide moment across the board. Kids are talking about cars. I mean, my wife and I went to dinner the other night, and there was like a car meetup happening in the parking lot of the restaurant. And there was like 100 late model performance cars there. And I'm like, man, I wish that was going on when I was a kid, because it wasn't. And it's happening now. I mean, whether it's Formula One, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's some other type of motorsports, people care about racing right now. And I think it's a part of Americana, and we do have a lot of momentum, and we've got to capitalize on it right now. So thank you guys all so much for joining us every week here on the Wes Buck Show. I did not get a package, so I will check with you.
I did. Cool Racing Parts. I did get mine.
Oh, I did. Yep.
I got it. I'll have to rock mine.
I haven't opened it yet. Maybe I'll open it on the show next week. I don't know.
Open it on the show next week, and maybe I'll get mine between now and then. Speaking of box opening, we got a big, exciting box opening happening for Ken Cartuccio Jr. next week, which I'm really excited about. We're going to do, I think we are actually going to try to do it here on the show. So anyways, thank you guys all so much for being a part of this. We appreciate your support. Remember to like, subscribe, share, help us spread the gospel of drag racing, and we will see you next week right here on the Drag Illustrated YouTube channel.
Later, y'all.
See y'all.